That's the language we use in the market. Will give a full disclosure when the SEC investigations or inquiries are completed. That's what the company, Owando Nigeria PLC, says on Monday in that statement. Meantime, sources says the SEC has brought in forensic team to be part of the investigators that are looking at the petitions against Owando Nigeria, and that the investigations continue with the outcome from the SEC expected to be announced within the next couple of weeks. That's where we are as we speak. Okay, let's start with the market. Let's go to the markets quickly. And, of course, we're starting from the FX market. Starting Monday, the financial regulator, central bank, threw $250 million into the market as intervention to kick off the final trading week in August. That brings the total central bank intervention in the FX market to the doorstep of $10 billion since the 1st of January 2017. Now look at the market close on Monday, 305.80 Naira dollar. At the interbank market, that's the NAFEX. That's the interbank market for the foreign exchange. The Naira gained about 0.75% on the dollar, was down 0.85 on the euro, and almost 1% negative on the, 0.85% down on the pound, and about 1% down on the supranational currency called the euro. Of course, you've seen a euro advancing aggressively against the dollar in the last couple of days. Let's roll that over and see the next two market segments. The street market, that's where the Naira was flat on the dollar and on the pound, but also lost 0.94% to 433 on the euro. That's aggressive gain that we've seen the euro in the last few sessions. Then the FMDQ investor and exporters window was likely lackluster, 359.58, and that gives you a bit of a sense of what happened to the stock markets. That's where we go next. The stock market lost about 1% on Monday. We were down to 36,317. The 37,000 psychological index reading for the entire market is being a little bit sticky. We lost the 38,000 about 2 weeks ago. We haven't been able to get that back in our kitty. Market capitalization, that's the net Naira value of the total securities listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, 12.517 trillion local currency. In terms of the primary data for yesterday's trading day, volume a little bit above our daily average, 348.1 million ordinary shares. The value was about $8.2 million. That's largely lackluster, almost 3 billion. We've done as high as 4 billion when the market was really on steroid in the months of June and July. Then in terms of deals, we're also down to our daily average about 3,276. Let's see the sectoral performances. In the banking sector, GT Bank and Zenith lost as investors begin to take profit on the market, 1.62% in the negative territory. The industrials, both in consumer goods and industrials, Dangote Cement and Nigerian breweries, were down on Monday. That shaved the consumer goods down 1.35. Industrial goods lost 0.2%. The insurance, however, was up 0.2% because of Continental Insurance and a few others in that space. Then you find the oil and gas about 0.28%. That sector finished in the green despite a massive sell-off on the shares of Owando yesterday, when the energy company says it's cooperating with the authorities and that the allegations of gross mismanagement against the company were not true or has no merit. Sorry, we choose my words very carefully. Have no merit. That's what the company says. But investors have a mind of their own. Almost 30 million shares of Owando was sold off yesterday, and the shares went down. Let's get to that in about a few minutes from now when we talk to the energy market. Let's move on to the over-the-counter market. That's the very small unlisted securities via the NASD. And we lost the 600 reading on that. USI at 592.66 by 0.5%. The market cap, 401.07. That's the net value of the few companies and stocks listed in that market. In terms of volume, not a bit of a bad day, a bit of a decent 166,000 units for 21.05 million naira in 10 transactions. Yesterday, the central bank, of course, the $250 million US dollar FX sales, of course, that impacted on the treasury bills market. So let's bring that onto the screen for you to have a quick look at. And you can see the numbers there. Look at the bottom of the page. Less than 100 billion in net total. Transactions-wise, not very bad. 333 transactions. And you can see a bit of a decent volume and transactions in those 4 most actively traded short-dated treasury bills maturing between now and July 2018, the 19th of July, at those discount highs was for a bit of a yield contraction, very marginally, on the treasury bills on Monday to start the brand new week. Let's go to the bond market. And you can also see that that was a bit stronger in terms of a daily average trading via the FMDQ OTC securities exchange. What is that number now? Okay, that's it. The 18th of April, 2037. That's a long-dated paper, Naira paper, 3.9 billion, 23 transactions. Midterm paper, 17th of March, year 2027, 2.9 billion transactions. Short-term FGN Naira bond, 29th June 2019, maturing. 18th of March 2036, second long-dated, most actively traded paper. 12 transactions, 1.2 billion. And of course, if you have access to Bloomberg or you get some of the sources, you'll see how Nigeria's diaspora bond and Eurobonds are trading. The yields are getting better than before, and we got some of this out on the system. But of course, we'll get to talk about this market where we have our diaspora bond and our Eurobonds, $1.5 billion on one hand, about $500 million on the other hand, perhaps tomorrow. Let's see if we can squeeze that into what we're talking about. Right now, food is king. Let's discuss the latest food inflation when we come back.